Hello, my name is Brianna Benitez, and our group's topic is fraction division. Fraction division. In this lesson, we will be exploring three different methods for dividing fractions using visual tools. The California state standard we have chosen to accompany our lesson is 5NF7A. Apply and extend previous understandings of division to divide unit fraction by whole numbers and whole numbers by unit fractions. Interpret division of a unit fraction by a non-zero whole number. During these 3 days, we will split each different method into a different day. So on the first day, we will be doing the measurement model. How many blank fit into blank? On the second day, we will be going over the partitive model. You know blank of the whole is worth blank. What is the whole worth? Factor and product model will be on day 3. You know the side length and area of a rectangle. What's the other side?
Hi, my name is Abigail Corchado, and I'm going to be going over day one and day two. So, day one, we are going over measurement model. So, day one of teaching, students will be introduced to fraction division. We will introduce students how we will introduce how students will use representation models of three operations using fractions. So, we will provide students with a brain refresher, and this brain refresher will be adding, subtracting, and multiplying fractions. This is just to get students used to what we are about to teach them, the new material we are about to teach them. So we will introduce all three fraction models, which will be measurement, partitive, factor, and product model. This is just so they know what they have ahead of them for the next 3 days. Students will be reintroduced to all fraction models each day to ensure that they know the material. So day one, we'll focus on measurement model, but we're also introducing the two other models as well. So measurement model, we are building up, or it is repeated subtractions. So how many what fit into blank, and drawing a number line. So an example for this question will be written on the board, and students will write in their notebooks, following along with the teachers. Students will have an opportunity to work within their groups and then try on their own. Um, During this time, um, students will also get to work within their groups, and this is also their opportunity to ask for help. Teachers will ask if there is an understanding, if they're understanding the material, and by doing this, they'll ask students to give a thumbs up, in the middle, or down. Thumbs up means they are understanding. In the middle, they're on their way to understanding fully. Thumbs down means they are not understanding. An exit ticket will also be given out and must be completed. Students will complete a problem and explain what they understand and what they might need more help on. There will be two check boxes, one saying, I'm on my way there, another saying, I am not there yet, because, and then explaining why they are not there yet. Allowing students to explain this to the teacher will help the teacher to properly understand where the student needs more help. On day two, we are covering partitive model. So, teaching day two, students will be taught the partitive model, which is the second way of using the representation model. Students will be reviewing what was taught on day one. This is just so they are continuing to reassure what they learned. And they'll be provided with a problem, and they must solve it within their groups. Partitive model is a focus of day two. We'll explain the partitive model to the students. You know blank of the whole is worth blank. What is a whole worth? So an example that will be provided could look like this. You know half of the whole is worth 2. What is a whole worth? The teacher will do a couple examples on the board. while students will write these examples in their notebook, and they should be doing this for every single example that the teacher provides. Then students will work to solve the following problems within their groups. And the teacher should walk around the classroom asking students or groups if they need help or provide guidance if it looks necessary. Students will also be given another exit ticket to complete on their own. On the backside, students can write what they need help on.
Hi, my name is Rayann Uribe, and I'll be going over factors and product model. So for day 3 of teaching, I'll be wrapping up the content. So I'll give students a warm up that is on the measurement model and on partitive model, and checking their understanding with that, and then moving on and going into details about factors and product model. So I will let them know that we'll be using the backward area model and explain that inside of the box, that's the area, and then the outside of the box is the side length. Um, and also, I'll be going over the units that they would have to use, which is the square units, because we're trying. And the square units, it meaning that how many squares fit into a shape. So that's the area, so that's why we need to use a square unit. And then also with this model, students are able to check their answers. So if they did it correctly, the if they did the side length correctly, the area should equal that answer. And so I would also go in depth about like the labeling. So like in this example, the area is 6 divided by half, and we're looking for the other side length. And so that's why there's a half on the outside, and um, then we have to find out what number times half. We'll get to the 6 square foot, and the answer is um, so 4 times the half is 2 square foot. 4 feet times half a feet is also 2 square feet, and so on. And that total of um, doing the 4 feet is the 12 feet. And after going details and explaining that, I would also have practice work with me, and going over it together with the students and explaining. And after that, um, having students work with their classmates, and sometimes having students explain to each other, that can also help them better explain the topic, and then also giving them independent work and seeing where they're at. And then for the exit ticket, I would have them solve the problem of using um, the factors and product model, and then also them pointing out where they understand the problem and areas that they're unsure about.
Hi, I'm Allison Yang, and for our mathematical example, we will be using the partitive model. For our mathematical example, we are going to use the partitive model to solve 2 divided by 1/3. We can always think of the partitive model as part of it. We have, if 1/3 of a pan of brownies is 2 servings, how many servings is the whole pan? For this, we're going to draw a rectangle. Once we have our rectangle, we are going to divide the rectangle into 3 equal parts. We know that 1/3 of the rectangle is 2 servings. So we are going to label that 2 servings. If these other sections in the rectangle are the same size, then that must mean the 2/3 is also 2 servings, and then the last third should also be 2 servings. This leaves us with 2 plus 2 plus 2, or 2 times 3. Both sentences will give us 6.
So how many servings is the whole pan? The whole pan is 6 servings.
As for our mathematical practices, we have three practices that connect and correlate with the fraction division. Um, Mathematical practice number one is make sense of problems and persevere in solving them. So, this is when students can reason fraction division with context and models, not using any shortcuts. Mathematical practice number four is model with mathematics. This is when students use number lines and area models to represent division situations. The number lines were used for the measurement model, and area models more so for the factors and product method. Our mathematical practice number five is use appropriate tools strategically. So, this is when students can choose between diagrams and manipulatives and number lines to make sense of the problems.
These are the misconceptions and how to address it. So, the first misconception that could happen is students not putting the units or forgetting. Students might think that the number alone to the answer is good enough, but um, without units, it doesn't tell what is being measured. So, to address that, you have to explain the why. Like, let's say I have 4 apples, and then I say I have 4 feet of ropes. Even though they have the same number, they don't equal the same thing. One is measuring the amount of apples I have, and then the other is measuring the amount of length of ropes I have. Even though they have number 4, the units are different and they mean something. So explaining it like that, instead of just saying you have to, they need to understand the why and the importance. And then when writing the answer, have students either circle or box in the answer with the units or even highlighting and checking students' work, have quick check ins with them. Also, you can emphasize that it is part of a grade whenever they're doing their class assignment or for an exam, like if they don't include it, stressing that if, they won't get the full points because they didn't put the units. Another misconception is the jumps with the measurement model. So when students could count it wrong, and to address that, um, when introducing this topic, it's important to label what the numbers mean. So in this picture, the 1/36 and 36 is where you land and where you're going to finish. And then the 4 is the amount of jumps you're going to do. And so it's important to label that in the notes and have students write it. And maybe for a couple of the problems, have them label each time. Um, and then also having quick check ins verbally and through assignments like exit tickets. So, a quick check in, asking them um, or asking them to explain like why they did that many jumps or how did they figure that out, and you can see whether they're understanding that concept.
The final aspect of our lesson is the growth mindset. We will be implementing the growth mindset into our lesson in a number of ways. The first way will be encouraging students to make mistakes and have them reflect on the mistakes so they can learn. Too often, students focus on perfection instead of understanding the learning process. Our second method will be celebrating persistence and determination. Even if the first model doesn't make sense, another representation might be able to help them to understand the material. Our third method will be providing exit tickets to the students. These exit tickets will reinforce what they've learned and have them look at the lesson in a positive outlook. We will say, I am not there yet. This is important. Saying, I do not understand now because of this, but once I get it, I will understand. This allows the teacher to properly understand where the students are struggling and improve as well.